All right, guys, we're starting the podcast. All right, I've got to get my software open. And of course, it's frickin' Mercury retrograde. So I have to pull this up. Audacity. Oops. There we go. Pulling up my software because, of course, I probably need to update something on my computer because it's Mercury retrograde. So I'll be right with you. All right. So, all right. I got my software going. Hey, Saf, how you doing? All right, I'm here. So I have some fun news, guys. Let me get this. Let's see. Which way am I? All right. I'm not going to even look at the camera. So if I'm not looking at you, I'm not looking at you. Oh my God. So I have fun news. I just interviewed my very favorite numerologist in the whole world, a very good friend of mine, Nicole Cormier or Cormier. Um, you can pronounce it either way. She's fine with that. But she's also known as the numerology lady, and she's going to be teaching numerology after we open up the mystery school. Okay, this is bugging me. Hang on. Let's see. Let's see. Is that better? Almost. Okay. Then I somewhat look like I'm looking at you. Okay, this is better because otherwise I was looking side-eyed, and you guys don't need side-eye from me. Okay. So Nicole and I had a fun time chatting. We've been friends since 2007. We've actually never physically encountered each other, but we have walked each other through the ups and downs of life as each other. I've been her astrologer. She's been my numerologist. And we know enough about many metaphysical subjects to support one another. And so I'm really excited. So in June, we'll have her introduction, the just a free class where you can learn what she'll be teaching in the other classes, and those will be like electives, so people can take those separately. I'm super excited to bring her into this. I'm bringing in the best people I know who I trust will give solid, really good information. It's a pretty funny interview because we cackle a lot when we get together, and it's super fun. Some other fun stuff to share is, I don't know if you guys know who John Edwards is. He's a very famous psychic, and he had a TV show in the early 2000s. I know I have a pretty young viewing audience, but he's like the real deal. And whoa, Mercury retrograde. He's the real deal, and he actually he was following me longer than I was following him. I didn't even know he was on TikTok, and he followed me. And then he commented on one of my posts, and I didn't realize it was him because of the way his username is. And then I looked like at his profile. He's like, wait, there's a blue check mark. I should probably see who that is. And I went and I looked, and I'm like, oh. But somebody just commented on my video today that he's actually mentioned me in a live stream, which is pretty fucking fantastic. So that's exciting. So that was really cool, right? You're old enough. There we go. Yeah, it is so like he's been talking about me, and I'm like, oh my God. So I sent him, like, I followed him, obviously, and then I sent him a little private message saying, hey, thank you very much, and I hope you're okay. I hope you're doing well. And he gave me a little thumbs up and a wink, and I'm like, oh my God. So little fangirling moment from Lori. It doesn't happen very often, but he actually named what I am. Now, I know I go by astrologer. I know I talked about that in specific, but I'm actually a metaphysical teacher. And so, like, that's my soul's purpose. That's what I incarnated to do, was be a metaphysical teacher. And so it was really cool that he named it. And I was like, oh, this goes with the timing. So super fun. Super fun. I have to say, I'm a little giddy on it. So that's super nice. So what are we going to talk about in the podcast today? I've finally got my recording software up. I haven't done the intro yet, so you guys will get to hear that. I need to put my little cover over forgot. You like it? I use a sweater. It causes dead air. It causes dead air. That's what you call it in recording, is dead air. And so I've got the little foamy thing, the little recording studio, and then I put the sweater over it to keep the echo and the bounce off. So now I should sound better to you guys. Do you notice a difference in the sound quality? Give me a heart, or just let me know in the comments if you do. That'll help me know. And if I'm still echoey, let me know, and I will change things up with my mic. So in backpacks at school, absolutely. Yeah. Put the coat over the top of you. Yeah, go into the closet. I just don't like sitting in my closet. I do have a closet I could use, but it feels confining. So hello to all of you guys in the chat. Super fun. So besides the interview with Nicole and a really cool chat about past lives with the mods, yeah, it's tighter. Okay, if you're still hearing room, I need to move the table closer. How about now? I keep forgetting how sensitive my mic is too. So I have a good mic. How about now? Check 1, check 2. Yeah. Because I can actually get it pretty tight. And if it's not tight enough, I'll just put a background track underneath it. That's how I could, yeah. Okay, that's cool. I'll just put background music under it because I can play with the volume there, and then that takes out the echo. Sometimes I play with the noise reduction too, giving you guys some of that. It's a little bit of the Gemini Venus TMI. But anywho, all right. So other than a really cool interview with Nicole Cormier, who is absolutely fantastic, we also have a wonderful discussion about past lives that I did with the mods. And so that was really fun. So we'll get a snippet of some mod talk into this episode. So those are things you can listen to once it's done. And then what I'm recording now is the introduction. We're going to talk about Mars entering Aries and its upcoming conjunction to Jupiter, because that's a big deal. And I'll be teaching a workshop on Saturday called Make Your Luck. And I'm not going to do a group reading on it because I wanted as many people to be present as possible. So I'm going to talk about just Jupiter Mars and Jupiter conjunctions in general, because they're not unusual, but they're always special. And then what it means in Aries, and then, specifically because this is coming up on May 29th, and then what it means through the other signs, because it does happen with regularity. Mars moves pretty fast, and so it touches Jupiter, every year and a half or so. And it's always a nice little window. Okay, I don't know how to fix this webcam, but as I move, it's moving and adjusting its aperture. So I don't know, but maybe it's haunted. Bitch, I'm a ghost. But anyway, so I'm going to be doing that on Saturday after the last class of Your Soul's Intent. I know it's a lot of teaching. Everything I do is recorded. And so if you can't make it, the recording will be available as well. It's really, really good information. So I'll be talking about Mars entering Aries, what that means on the mundane level, as well as what the Mars-Jupiter conjunction is going to mean on the mundane level. And then, as always, I give you guys a little bit of extra juice. And we're going to talk about what Mars and Aries is going to mean for the houses it's activating. And that I'm going to just do for you after I'm done recording, when I'm taking little breaks. So that's what we're doing today. I love that you're here. Having an audience helps me record. So, and it gets me done in like one shot, which is nice. We'll see how she goes. It is Mercury retrograde, but you guys increase my odds of doing this correctly. So I'm going to do the introduction right now. Welcome to another episode of The Awake Space. This is Lori Rivers with you, helping you with some inspiration to get those aspirations out in the world. Actually, I have to stop. Damn it. You get a blooper. You get a blooper because my mic setting was too low because I was busy chatting with Nicole instead of setting up before you got here. All right, let's try it again. Welcome to another episode of The Awake Space. I'm Lori Rivers, here to help you with those aspirations. More bloopers. This is why you're here. All right. Welcome to another episode of The Awake Space. I'm Lori Rivers, and I'm here to give you some inspiration to help you with those aspirations so you can get out in the world and make your difference, or at least just enjoy life as you live it. In today's episode, I have a very special interview with a very special guest, my good friend, Nicole Cormier, also known as the Numerology Lady. We have known each other for too many years to admit to, and she and I chat about numerology in practice, what it is, what it isn't, why angel numbers aren't part of astrology, her opinions on those, and I'll say her opinions are totally valid, and what she's going to bring to the mystery school after we open to the public. Again, she's one of my very dear friends. We have walked each other through a whole lot of life, and she's who I go to for numerology readings. And if you want to pick up a reading with her, you're going to check the information in the description under the podcast notes and go over to her Ko-fi or Coffee link, and you can book with her there. She is absolutely amazing. I think you're going to really enjoy the conversation we had. And we've got Mod Talk in this episode, and we're talking past lives. Why are we talking about past lives? Well, because the subject came on deck, because we are doing the class, Your Soul's Intent. It's a 4-hour workshop, and we did the first 2 hours last Saturday. We'll be doing the next 2 hours of it on May 21st, and we're looking at the south node of the moon and what that has to do with past lives. So the mods and I are talking about past lives, what our understandings of those are. I was answering some of their questions. We were thinking about their thoughts on the matter and just discussing that. It's a really thoughtful conversation. I think you'll really enjoy it. And other than all of that, I'll be talking to you next about Mars entering Aries. The energy is about to switch up. We've had a whole lot of Pisces going on, and now things are going to be hot, really hot, because on the 24th, Mars ingresses into Aries. Ingress means moves into, enters. Mars ingresses into Aries, and then it meets up with big old Jupiter, and that is going to be on May 29th. And that is a spectacular day on an individual level. On a collective level, that is big bada boom energy. So I'll be talking about that in the next segment. And of course, as always, huge shout out to patrons, many of whom are here watching the podcast be recorded live on YouTube. They got to watch a couple of bloopers and get to laugh and helped me with the sound quality. It's always good. So, as always, without the patrons, there is no podcast. So thank you so much. And your shout outs will be, of course, in this episode as well. So let's talk about Mars in Aries. All right. There we go. Yes. I'm going to take a quick break. I like to do that in between recording sets. Mars and Aries is going to be just a wild ride. When you look at what's going on in the world, when you look at the global political situation, now we have Mars entering its home sign. That is always a wild time. Aries is kind of wild, raw, unfettered energy, and it expresses in a multitude of ways. So when I'm talking about it at the mundane level, I want you guys to remember this is not always how it expresses on a personal, individual level. Okay. Aries energy on a personal level can be very sweet, very naive, very loyal, very kind energy. On a mundane level, on a mass consciousness level, the energy is belligerent, it's aggressive, it's and everybody has Aries in their chart. Okay. I think you guys probably know that if you're watching this and you're a patron, but you might not. You might be a new patron and you haven't been around as I lectured. But a lot of times on TikTok, people will say, I don't have Aries in my chart. You have all 12 signs in your chart. Stop using CoStar. That's all I have to say. CoStar sucks. It's terrible. It's not good astrology. It's shitty. Don't do it. Use time passages. And I don't get any kickbacks. I'm just saying, I think time passages gives you good information. So this next part, I'm going to talk about Mars and Aries, what that means, what's going to go on with that, and how that's going to kind of play out in the world. And I know you guys know this. A lot of times people who are new will be like, why are you telling us these things? Why are you scaring us? And it's like, my intention is never to scare people, but I do want you to understand what's upcoming, because then you are equipped to deal with it. I don't like surprises. I really don't. I am not a fan of surprises. It's one of the reasons I became an astrologer, because my mantra as a young person was shit happens to me. And so one I was like, anything that could help me kind of foresee the shit, so I could attempt to rise above it or at least navigate it, was one of the reasons I was studying divinatory practices. And I am intuitive. And that's also why I learned as much as I did about consciousness and the various levels of the way consciousness expresses itself. Because and this is for you guys. This is special information just for you. We are, and it's funny, Nicole and I talk about this in the podcast, in our interview. And when I say we're both receivers and transponders or transmitters of information, it's true. And so when you look at when people are overly immersed in the media discharge, when people are tuning in to the horrid things happening in the world, which I'm not saying close your eyes to it, but there's so much more than that going on. And there are other things besides that going on. You're only tuning into a singular frequency. There are other frequencies that we can tap into. And I'm not saying to put your head in the sand, but if it disempowers you, if it paralyzes you, if it makes you spread your energy out like scattershot, it's not empowering you. And so that's why I teach what I teach, because as an intuitive, we're all naturally intuitive, but if we're not trained, we might be tapping into layers of energy that are less than optimal, and all of those realities can be true at the same time. It's not delusional to look for a proactive way to navigate energy. It's just not. It's not delusional at all. To assume that reality is only one particular way is actually extremely naive, especially when we look at particle physics and knowing that reality isn't just one way. And so always be wary of the narratives that are demanding that there is only one particular route, that there's a lot of flexibility in how we perceive things and what we do with our own energy and our own expressions. So when I go talk about this and the potentials of this energy, don't think that's just, I'm talking about you if you have an Aries Mars or an Aries Moon, etc. And I'll explain this on the podcast too. So let me get to recording. And again, if you're popping in and out here on YouTube, remember the replay is up on Patreon afterwards and available on YouTube as well. So, and I'll just edit this later because I'll get all the music in. I haven't picked my music for this episode yet, but I'm going to make sure it's dramatic. I've been finding great music. So, all right. All right, we've got Mars in Aries on May 24th. That is going to be a very dramatic day on a mundane level. You can expect some big headlines. You can expect probably to see some more violence in the news. And I wish it wasn't so, but at the very lowest expression of Mars in Aries energy, it is. It's unfettered aggression. It's brute force. It's hit first, ask questions later. And so we're going to see some stuff. I would stay out of crowds if possible if you're in a major metropolitan area, okay, or a large city. Okay, I would make sure I got my shopping done before that day. I would just, I very rarely give a forecast where I say, hey, stay in bed. But if you can, call in sick, stay in bed. I don't like to scare people. I don't. But there's so much going on right now that in the world, and just looking at the current situation and kind of feeling into the energy, I'm just going to say, Mars in Aries, the day it ingresses on May 24th. It's going to bring a bang. Now, on the more positive side of that energy, we'll hear some really cool adventure stories. We might hear some really kind of romantic love stories, believe it or not. Mars in Aries isn't just aggression, it's assertiveness, but we might hear of some very public proposals. And loyalty, because Aries can be dead on loyal. You know, my brother's in Aries, and he is a loyal, sweet human. And yeah, you can see him on TikTok because he's the one who calls me sissy. Nobody else gets to call me that and lives, but he does. And you know, even at our decrepit ages, he gets away with it. But Aries energy can be very sweet, very kind, very loyal, faithful. Really, really can. But on a mass consciousness level, where the energy expresses differently, because you have to remember, at the mundane level, things are different. We could see fires, we could see arsons, we could see, you know, all kinds of force. Those types of things will be going on. And so if that kind of news bothers you, be really, really aware of it. I don't watch the news. I just don't. I don't watch the news. I look for headlines. I do specific news searches after I do my predictions. I just don't watch mainstream media much at all, just because they talk about the same subjects over and over. And if you look at the way the broadcasts are done, it's designed to evoke feelings, and it's very manipulative. So I have subscriptions to various newspapers from different points of view. They're not all aligned with my viewpoints, because I like to get a broad spectrum, and I like to see what other people are thinking, even if they don't agree with me. So I look at like Reuters and AP for just kind of just, here's the facts, ma'am, as much as possible. So those are all things we look at. It's going to be quite the day on May 24th. So just be wary of that. I'm going to go over what that means through the chart. Like if through the houses, I do this for patrons in the behind the scenes. We go house by house. So first house, second house, what it means to have Mars and Aries activate that area of life, including your interceptions. So for those of you who are advanced enough to know that, you know, if you've got a sign sandwiched between two other signs in a house, Yes, I use Placidus. I don't like whole sign. I don't think it's very accurate, especially for predictions. Um, if it's activating that Aries interception, what does that mean? And so we'll talk about that a little bit behind the scenes as well. The interceptions are always unlocked by transit, just an FYI. So I get asked that a lot on TikTok. So that's something we'll be talking about behind the scenes here in just a minute. It will be volatile. We could see, especially here in the West and the Southwest, especially, we could see more wildfires. It's already started. We could see some arsons. There could be more shootings. I am just reporting the news. I'm not causing it. So again, I really, really urge you not to be in crowded spaces right now. Especially on that day, because it's when a planet changes signs, it represents a big change of energy, and that energy it tends to be dramatic regardless of the sign when a planet ingresses. And Mars is action, aggression, activity. On a personal level, this could be good shit. Wherever Mars is moving through your chart, this is, activating you. And we've had so much Pisces energy, and I don't dislike Pisces. I'm a Cancer. I've had all of this, energy trining my Sun and Mercury. It is right now as I record this. It's playing around with my Neptune and Scorpio in my first house. I've been having a pretty good time. And even I'm looking forward to less water right now. I could use some activity. I have become that wobbly marshmallow I spoke about in a video. I would like to exercise a little more. I'd like to have that motivation. I'm staring at my exercise bike right now going, yes, I will right atop you and drop some poundage. And so next week is going to be a very volatile week. It's not a surprise. All you have to do is look out at the world, but don't despair. Okay? Don't despair. Don't let them rob you of your energy. I'm giving you a heads up so you know what's going to happen, so you can prepare and stay away from trouble instead of running into it. It doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. Okay? In fact, the odds of something horrible happening to you are not very good. Okay. In general, you're probably going to just have a normal day. Hopefully. There's a lot of good mundaneness, and we want to focus on that, but you will be energized in a certain area of life. I'm going to go over that with patrons here in a minute. If you aren't a patron and you become a patron because of this podcast, you can catch the replay. The replay is in Patreon itself, and you can watch that where I go over everything. So I'm going to look at the chart here for May 24th. And so that same day, and let me just check. Oh, Lordy. Lord have mercy on us all. Yeah. So Mars will be conjunct the moon at 0 degrees Aries. I hadn't looked at that part yet. It's going to be very volatile. Please stay out of crowded spaces. Okay. If you don't have to go into whatever downtown area, please don't. Okay. There's probably going to be some political decisions happening that really rile people up. We're already on edge. Look at where things have been going. Look at what the Supreme Court has been doing. My guess, looking at this chart, and 0 degrees Aries, it packs a wallop when it comes to mundane astrology. And again, don't freak out. Freaking out doesn't help. Be prepared, okay? Just be prepared. If you can do something on a different day, do it. Take some agency on this. But, and they're both close. I mean, Jupiter is at 2 degrees, and even though the exact conjunction is on May 29th, And by the way, it's a great time to make your luck. Like on a personal level, some of this is really good. But on a collective level where people do not necessarily use their brains, this is not great. Yeah, it's something else, and it's all it's all sextile the sun. And Mercury will have ingressed into Taurus and is trining Pluto, and they're both retrograde. So we're looking at something from the past. There's some old stuff up on deck that's being revisited, and it's really just gonna light things up. It's the song popping into my head on a personal level is "Come on, baby, light my fire." It could be some spicy times. And may you have spicy times indeed. Again, I'm not trying to scare you. I'm not, but we'll make sure I'm talking about this on TikTok live streams and in the Discord. The best way, like I said, looking at this chart, let me give you the times. And I'm looking at it for Los Angeles. And no, I'm not going to look at everybody's timing and everybody's place. I just don't have time for that. It's going to be in the afternoon on the West Coast, evening on the East Coast. So this could be something, I don't even know what day the 24th is. So the 22nd is Sunday. So Monday, Tuesday, maybe it's a bar, maybe it's like some kind of sporting event. It could be, it's interesting. When I look at directional for here, it's west of Los Angeles. So maybe something in Hawaii, we could see some volcanic action happen. And if it is that, it would be, or fires again. It's very, very volatile. So, and I know there's people who will say, well, if you say it, then it becomes it, but not really. Not when it comes to astrological things. I'm giving you a range of what could happen. They're all in the realm of possibility. Now, what is probable? That's where we look at what's going on right now in the world. So this is even how you do like a political forecast without astrology. We look at all the potential happenings, like what could happen from best case to worst case. And then we look at the most likely scenario. And so I use the same skill set I learned as a political analyst when I do my astrology. I know the realm of possibility and then what's more likely. Given we've had a lot of gun violence and it's coming back up, it tends to come in waves. When we have Aries energy going on, it could be excessive use of force by police officers. It could be another white guy having a bad day or trying to use the mental health defense, which is bullshit, by the way. It could be radicalization. It could be, again, it could be lightning and fires. It could be a lot of natural causes as well. And then it could be stuff happening in Asia as well. And the reason I say that is even though we look to Asia as being east, from my position, it's to my west. Because I'm sitting here on the West Coast and Asia is to the west of me. And so I know we're all taught it's east, but it's east of Greenwich. It's not east of Los Angeles. It's west of it. Because we would look across the ocean, which is to our west. So that could be it. It could be stuff going on, I don't know. I mean, it could be a whole lot of things. So I will definitely be writing up some very special Aries moon transit forecasts. It's wild. It's wild energy. So you want to be careful. You want to be cautious. You want to be mindful. It could mean, especially on the West Coast, be careful driving. because there might be a lot of road rage that day. There could be just, I don't know. People act like nuts when they don't control their consciousness. And in groups, humans don't usually rise to their best. So, and it would be male aggressors with this energy. It would be male aggressors. And so, yeah, this is fiery stuff. So I'm talking about this because I want you to be safe. I want you to be okay. I want you to be prepared. And on the positive level, and I think I'm going to give you guys here on the podcast just a little more positive, and then I'll talk to the patrons behind the scenes, because I don't want to leave you hanging, and I don't want you to just have to join Patreon to get all the good juice. So how this can be a good activation, it could inspire you to be more active if you've been sedentary. You could feel like changing up your look or putting yourself out there. You might have been thinking about applying for jobs, but you haven't done it yet. You haven't felt like you had the self-esteem for it. You might get a sudden uptick in self-esteem. You might be more communicative than you've been. You might decide to do something that you've been afraid to try. You might feel braver. You might feel full of energy when you felt kind of lethargic. You might be ready to go play and have fun and create. It could go a whole lot of ways on a personal level. I don't want you to think it's all going to be bad, because nothing in life is all good or all bad. Right? I've said it time and time again on this podcast. If you go to an airport on any given day and you just sit and you watch people, you'll see people having the best reunion, seeing people they love. You'll see people having a falling out and fighting. You'll see people, grieving. You'll see people having a neutral day. You'll see irritated people. You'll see happy-go-lucky people. You'll be seeing people go to the bar because they're afraid of flying. Everybody's having a different experience all at the same time with the same energy, because everybody has a different chart. So I'm giving you the big picture look and giving you some warnings, but it doesn't mean you're going to have a bad day. Okay. So I just want to reassure you of that. For all the people who ask me these questions, what about Aries rising? What about Aries moon? What about Aries Saturn? Guess what? It activates for everybody. Wherever Aries is in your chart, and yes, you have it. Stop using CoStar. Stop using CoStar. Please stop using CoStar. It's shitty. It's shitty software. If you got to use an app, use something like Time Passages if you don't know how to read an astrology chart. I don't get any kickbacks. Yeah, I'm just saying, I use Celeste 1.2 because I'm an astrologer and I know how to read charts. Okay, guys. But it doesn't mean it's going to be bad for you. Okay. And everybody has Aries in their chart. I have a walkthrough called Intro to the Natal Chart. If you're a patron, it's linked in Discord. Actually, if you're not a patron, you can still join Discord because we have public and private spaces. It's a free post. Okay. It's a free post. It teaches you how to make your chart on astro.com, and then how to kind of identify just the squiggles and lines and what they mean. It's not going to teach you how to read a birth chart, because that takes a long time and I have longer classes for that, but it gets you started. Okay. And that'll help you understand things a little bit more than some of the stupid TikToks I see that promote not good astrology. But anyway, let me tell the patrons what Mars in Aries is going to do as it wreaks havoc with their charts. And no, it isn't necessarily going to wreak havoc. I'm looking forward to this transit personally. And, just again, on a collective level, we're going to see some stuff. So we'll be back with some patron shout outs and then some fun chats about Mars and Jupiter conjuncting on May 29th. Okay. Yes. You're wobbling too, right? Well, okay, if you're Jessica, if you guys are driving home on that day, make sure you just take it easy, take it slow. No matter what happens, just take it easy. When I've been traveling during times that are contentious, I just take it easy. I just take it easy. Here, I'll show the comment. Um, yeah, I take it easy. I just take it easy because that's all we can do. Um, you can't stop life all of the time. Um, oops. You know, we can't always stay in bed. We can't always stay home. Um, that's yeah. Tell that to your kids. Well, they're probably going to argue in the back seat. So I've done the family trips. I have. In fact, God, I think my kids were like they weren't teens, they were tweeners. And I finally went like, no more family vacations until this is done. But I'm not doing one more bickering session. That was part of me choosing my own mental wellness over we must do this because we're a family. I'm like, no, I am so exhausted after these. We're not doing them again. And then I would do individual things with them instead. I was like, no more in the back seat. I don't care who's breathing. I don't care who's kicking what seat. I don't care. So yeah, if you have to go to work that day, yeah, parenting on vacation is not a vacation. No, it isn't. Yeah, it's not. And yeah, it's exhausting. But if you have to go to work on the day Mars is ingressing into Aries, it's okay. Just be aware and just understand people are going to be really kind of cranky. Remember how, people can just be inconsiderate, by the way, for Libra moons, that is a huge insult. So if you have any Libra moons in your life and they say you've been inconsiderate, they're not being nice. Just letting you know, those are fighting words from a Libra moon. And I am a Libra moon. So when I say people are inconsiderate, it's like one of the worst things I can think of people being, by the way. So, it's contentious energy. I'm not going to lie. I would really like if you're in there places I would not go, downtown LA, Times Square, sporting events. I wouldn't go to stadiums. I wouldn't go to a club. I wouldn't go to a bar that night. I would stay the fuck away from a bar that night. I would be really, really cautious, especially you East Coasties, because if it happens around 4:20 p.m. Pacific, it's going to happen around 7:20 p.m. And so you got careful out. Okay. Again, I could see some weather brewing with this. Political actions that are more aggressive, and we've already started seeing it. So we had that extremist do the mass shooting in Buffalo. I think we're going to see more of these things, unfortunately. When is this all going to end? It's going to have to kind of boil over, guys. So just so you know, I wish I could tell you it's going to end at the end of the summer, but actually we're just getting started for this year. So it's a wild, wild summer. That doesn't mean you can't have a great life yourself. So that's why I'm kind of saying stay as aware as possible without being immersed in the shit. Okay? Because it makes you ineffective. So how is Mars in Aries going to be a productive thing for you? Let's go through the chart here. If you are in Aries rising, once Mars gets to your rising sign, because maybe you're like at 12 degrees or something, it'll still be in your 12th house until it touches your ascendant. It has to get to your ascendant before it activates the first house. So once Mars in Aries crosses the ascendant, it supercharges you. Okay. I had somebody comment on TikTok of like, I'm high wired enough. And I'm like, well, then channel your energy. Go be as physical as possible. Like everybody has their own physical limitations, but within your own physical abilities, channel the energy, put yourself out there. You might feel like you're squirrely and spoiling for a fight if you're bored. And I know that because I have Mars in the first house. Mars is in Sagittarius in my chart. And so if I get bored, sometimes I look for a fight, but not in like a gunslinging fisticuff kind of way, but like I'll go troll white guys on LinkedIn just because it sounds fun. It's just a thing, and I know that's not a productive use of my energy or my time. So like I deleted LinkedIn off my phone. I know I'm silly that way, but if you feel squirrely, channel your energy in doing something that moves you forward, guys. That's really important. If you've got the moon, if Mars is transiting the second house, this is you thinking about money. You're on the hustle. You're on the grind. You know how to move it. Get ready. Make pathways to receiving as well. So your Venus has already activated that house and set the desire. Now Mars is going to go get it. So go get it. Mars moving through the third house. You're going to be busy. I want you to be careful driving with Mars going through the third house because you already have a bit of a lead foot and you know it. Okay, don't argue with me. I know when you think there's nobody around, you blowing it. Okay, careful, and don't be up in your head. You want to be paying attention. Okay. Make sure you don't text or write emails in anger if Mars is going through that third house. Okay, you want to be more deliberate. Mars doesn't always have to be reactive. Mars can be strategic. Okay, breathe, step back before you send the email that will blow everything up. Okay. It also might be a time where you're really productive in your writing or communicating. So, it's a good time as a writer, maybe a songwriter, singer, anybody who's communicative with Aries on the third house. Great time for that. Aries moving through the fourth house, you might be moving. You might decide to pick up stakes and move, or you might decide to redecorate, or you just might be busy. Like you just might get a woolly hair on the 29th that you need to rearrange your furniture. It might be that you just say, that's it. No shit. I quit. I'm leaving. I'm going to go live somewhere else. That doesn't mean it has to go that way. It just could, or you get the desire to go find somewhere else to live. Like, you'll be like, you know what? I've had enough. My neighbors are assholes. I'm going to go. I'm going to look for somewhere else to be. So that might be it. Or you've been looking for things and you're in the process of closing those types of deals. That can happen with the fourth house. You might also be dealing with family stuff. If Mars is moving through the fifth house, get ready to be on stage. Get ready to be having a little bit more fun. Be ready to be more self-expressive, more creative. You might be busy with the kids if you're still parenting. If you're not parenting and you don't have kids, Jupiter's hanging out there too. When Jupiter and Mars meet up on the 29th, be very careful if this is your fifth house, because you will be fertile. Boy, am I glad I'm in menopause because it's going through my fifth house. And so this is the time to be creative, get stuff done, share your voice, shine out in the world. You are your art. You are your art, and your art is a reflection of you, and your children are, everything is your baby. Oh my God, what is this doing? I don't need special effects when I have my camera doing weird shit. Stabilize, damn it. But anyways, and the camera says back, Lori, stop moving around so much. And I can't help it. That's just how I am. If Mars is going through your sixth house, you might be, what was I going to say? If Mars is going through the sixth house, then you might be applying for a new job, or you might be starting a new job, or you might be in the interviewing process. all of that may be happening. You might be taking more of a look at your day-to-day routine. You might be looking at your health. It doesn't mean you'll be sick, but you might be like, you know what? I need to walk more. I need to exercise more. If you get some headaches during that time, then you're in a stressful situation and you might be ignoring this. It's, you're probably trying to be loyal and do the thing. But if it's not aligned with who you are, you will very much know it when Mars is in Aries. And so if you're getting headaches, that's a sign that something needs to change. Something needs to shift. If Mars, and don't be afraid to get it checked out either. I'm not saying anything horribly wrong, but remember, mundane before magic, right? Seventh house is agreements, obligations, contracts, partnerships of all kinds, including marriage. It can be actually a really fun, spicy time. Same like the fifth house. You can be having a lot of fun. Doesn't mean you're going to have disagreements necessarily. If your relationship isn't in good shape, there might be disagreements. If it is in good shape, you might be like deciding to go do more things together. It just depends what's going on. Nothing happens out of the blue, but it will happen out of the oblivious. And so that's where the surprises come from. Mars entering the 8th house. This might be a time you're looking at your investments. This might be a time, there might be some grieving. It doesn't mean you're going to lose somebody, but it might be you're processing grief. It could be you get more into the occult. You might start taking a class. You might start learning more about tarot. You might make your own oracle cards. You might be doing things like that. So that's up on deck with Mars going through the 8th house. You might also be more in tune with messages. You might have a lot of metaphysical things happening and you're noticing it more. Or acting more on it, being more upfront about it. It's also a great time if you do any kind of research, Mars through the 8th house, you'll find the right rabbit hole to go through at the right time, and you'll get all those clues you've been looking for. You'll be like Sherlock Holmes. Be like a bloodhound smelling the trail. So that's a great time if you do any kind of research. 9th house, expanding experiences. You might be traveling. You might go overseas. You might be, or not even overseas. You could just travel to another state. You might decide to go on a road trip. You might start training. You might like a training program. You might start teaching. Any of that, you're going to be on your soapbox a lot. Make sure it's not distracting you from your actual goals. If you're spending more time in internet arguments than you are working on your own projects, you're probably wasting your energy. They want us to waste our energy. They want us outraged. Okay. And trust me, I have a 9th house sun and Mercury. It has taken everything in my body not to be on the soapbox right now and even pull a William Wallace. It's like freedom. I'd love to, but it's a waste. It's distracting me from my purpose. And I know the actual remedy to what's going on comes from what I'm teaching, right? So there's that. 10th house. Oh, you a rock star. You get noticed, you get seen. People really feel you, see you, hear you. You're leading. Now, you might have some run-ins with some authority figures, and that may be a sign that you need to go do something else. Okay, so if you have a job you don't like and you have a boss who's a shithead, they're going to be picking on you. So instead of fighting them, go look for something. This is a hiring market right now. Okay. It's a hiring market. You can find things right now. It's a good time, especially since Mars and Jupiter are both sitting in that 10th house. Go be a boss bitch. Don't put up with shit, but you don't need to get into fights with people over it either. If somebody's being shitty to you, be like, okay, then I'm going to go take my ball and I'm going to go take it where it's appreciated. Okay. So it's a time to be in a leadership position. If you run your own business and you are the boss bitch, this is a great time to reach your goals. This is magnifying your ambitions. So this is good shit. 11th house, you might be doing more. By the way, 9th house, you might be marketing more as well. 11th house, you're building an audience. It's a great time if you've got a business to build an audience. You might be meeting new friend groups. You might be active in your communities. meeting people who align more with you and or actively seeking them out. You'd be like, all right, that's it. I have had enough. We are going to come together, and you're going to find people who align. You might have some falling outs with people who haven't grown with you, because look, we're not meant to be friends with everybody forever. Sometimes we outgrow friendships. Sometimes we grow together. There's no reason to ever really feel bad about these things, like at a really deep level. Sometimes we can miss people. But if you're naturally growing and think people grow apart, we can love them and appreciate where they're at and go to the next thing. I highly suggest that be the energy if that's your 11th house. If it's the 12th house, your intuition may be way up. Pay attention to it. Pay attention to your dreams. This is not a time to let fear guide you. Okay. If you are being like, if when Mars hits the 12th house, if you start getting really, really scared of things, try to tune up. Do whatever you can to relax and try to tune your energy up, because the fear is actually instinct and you're feeling the collective panic, the collective worry. We all know we're about to slide down a shit slide. Okay. And so if you're picking up on that, that's going to stop you from being able to be proactive in your life. So I'm not saying don't be cautious. I'm not saying don't be aware. I'm saying don't allow yourself to be, paralyzed by that energy. So what you want to do is kind of tune it up. And you can do that by taking, salts baths. You can do that by making sure you're eating right, taking walks, tuning in, when you maybe an active meditation, because if you've got a 12th house, that's Aries, passive meditation is probably not going to work very well, but an active meditation like yoga, crochet, knitting, any kind of, even washing dishes, taking a walk, something active, running, jogging, any of that will help you like connect at a little higher level, where you get ideas of like, okay, so if this shitty stuff goes down, this is what I can do about it. And remember, our intuition doesn't have emotion attached. Instinct always has emotion attached. Instinct always has emotion. And as patrons, you have access to my guide to instinct and intuition. There's a reason I write this shit. It's not just to talk to myself, okay? It's to educate you guys so you know how to discern your own receptivity. Okay, so that's Mars through the houses. And then Mars and Jupiter, I mean, they're within 2 degrees when Mars ingresses. So this is already big energy, because whenever a planet is in the approach, that means it's moving towards. So if this is Jupiter and this is Mars, and Mars moves into Aries and they're 2 degrees apart, that energy is building. Just put your hands together like this. Like you could rub your hands together if you're not an energy worker or one that you know of, right? I think everybody is, but if you're not trained, just rub your hands together, make them hot, do this. And then feel the energy and just notice how you can start feeling it. So from here, you don't really feel it, but you start to feel it from here. You start to feel it from here. You start to feel it from here. And then here, you may not feel it as much. You might feel the heat, but you can start feeling the magnetism as you bring them in. That's what it's like when a planet is in an approaching orb, whether it is an approaching conjunction, an approaching square, an opposition. We'll feel that. And so May 24th is still going to be really, really volatile, because Mars is approaching Jupiter right here. And Jupiter is a magnifier. And I know everybody, you're going to see it on TikTok. Be like, remember, Jupiter is a great benefic. Don't let anybody say it isn't. Yeah, well, Jupiter is a magnifying glass in mundane astrology. It is the great benefic. It gives us some protection. But remember, a lot of what's happening in the world, even though it is apparently bad, is kind of what we've needed to happen in some ways to make changes as we go forward, because people didn't make the other decisions before. That's why if we can elevate our consciousness a little bit, each one of us helps tip the collective, and we can avoid some serious consequences in about 5 years. So that's why I have an urgency to teach people, because even if I get 100 people to elevate that much more, We tip the balance. We tip onto, some people call it timelines, but it's the streams of possibility and probability. And I'm not trying to impart dogma. I just know that if we can all be a little bit more responsive and we take like a deep breath before we react, it helps change that trajectory of the energy. Just each one of us making those little tiny decisions, it makes a big impact. So that's why I teach what I teach. So I'm going to go back to recording here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Mars-Jupiter conjunction. Just add Jupiter to the Mars for what I just talked about through the houses. And if you just joined, welcome. I just went through all the houses. Just add Jupiter, and Jupiter on a personal level. If you're connecting into that energy, not only is it a magnification of it, it is good luck. It's about making your luck. That's why I've got the class ready on next Saturday. I'm a glutton for punishment because I'm teaching 3 classes that day. Crazy from morning till night. Got a couple, I got some breaks in, but I'll be doing like, I'll be teaching the transit class. I'll be teaching the second session of Your Soul's Intent, where we go over the south node of the moon, and then, and the past life information. And then we talk about at 6 p.m., because I think I have a reading in there as well. At 6 p.m., I'm teaching Make Your Luck, because Mars and Jupiter conjunct is always about making your luck, making your opportunity, seeing that shot and taking it. You miss every shot you don't take, right? And especially if you've been socialized female, we've often been taught not to take our shots, and we got to pick up that ball, and we've got to shoot as many shots as we can. We can't afford not to right now. And so that's what I'm going to talk about next on the podcast. And that's what I'm going to teach and make your luck. It's going to be a fun little workshop. And again, I'm not going to do a group reading on it because I don't have time to do multiple ones. It is listed on my website. And here, let me grab that. I'll put it in the comments. Give me a second. Do 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 do. Oh, I see. Let me go back. There we go. Okay. And then come back to this window. Here we go. I'll put that here. Oops. Did I get it? There we go. There's the link. Make your luck. I can show it to you guys too. Can I share my screen? I can. Oh, I'm just reading the pop-up window. Hang on. Oh, I'm not going to share my screen because I have to practice with that. I don't want to do it on the recording right now. In case it crashes something. I'm like, I have a pretty powerful computer, but I don't want to mess with anything. It's Mercury retrograde. We're not going to push our luck. So, boop, 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 boop. Let me. Oh, cool, Saf. I think you'll enjoy this one. And again, Mars conjuncts Jupiter with frequency, at least once a year. And so that's why I'm doing it kind of as a workshop and how to use it. So yeah. You're welcome. All right, let's talk about that Mars and Jupiter. Oh, actually, let me do a patron shout out. All right. As always, my eternal gratitude goes to my patrons. And I'm going to give some shout outs here I've got a bunch of patrons here on the live stream. I can only see who's here from the comments. I can't see like usernames or anything, but I've got Saffron and Jessica and Alex and Jane and Maria and Zach. Do I have two Marias or one Maria? One Maria, because I have multiple Marias who are podcasts or patrons. We got Kathy, who's sister-like. We got Alicia. Let's see, I think I mentioned Jessica, Carla, Laura. So we've got about 19. We've had between 19 and 23 people here on the live stream, so it's pretty cool. I have these at weird days, and I don't really set a schedule. Sorry, guys, but Sag Mars, surprise. Even though I don't like surprises, I know it's weird. But anyway, we have had a bunch of new patrons join. It's just been wild and crazy and cool. And I grew on TikTok too, and I was wondering why, but I think I know now. I don't know if you guys know who the famous psychic John Edwards is, but he started following me. I didn't realize this. And one of my followers told me he mentioned me on a live stream. And so I was like, oh, that's why I grew that day. Because I was like, I don't know why I'm growing. I don't know what happened. So John Edwards, if you're listening to my podcast, I think you're really cool, and thank you for following me, and thank you very much for mentioning me. And I'm just going to really assume that you're listening to this because it's so cool. Yeah, if you don't know who he is, check him out. He is the real deal. He has a lot of ethics, and that's something I've always liked about him. Because as a metaphysician, which I am, which means I study the esoteric and the how do I put it? The esoteric and energy, as well as divinatory arts. There are things we need to be mindful of, and I've always found him to be so. So I appreciate that. So we've got a bunch of new patrons. We've got Mina, we've got Rochelle, we've got Maggie, we've got Layla, we've got Catherine, Wendy, Paige, Nicole, Sarah, Lou, Harmony, Brittany, Kelly, Vicky, Beth, Sibstar, Jackie, Ryan, Renee, Maria, Tara, Carrie, Jacqueline, Allie, Kamal, Kristen, Allison, Dee, Rachel, Gabby, Denise, Krista, Stephanie, Jennifer, Samantha, Joe, Tiffany, Amber, Janelle, Aaron, Robin, Susan, Gabby, James. Oh no, I've got so many more. Like, it's crazy, guys. Let's see. Let me get to James, because I know that was the last one. Amber, James. Where is it? Gabby. There we go. Oh, and my phone's quitting on me because it's Mercury freaking retrograde. If I did merge, that's what I would make a sign. I would make a shirt that said Mercury freaking retrograde. I am not wanting to do merch because I don't want to make things that end up in a landfill. So I will continue teaching and creating information products because I feel more ethical with that. And I just think we live in times where we have to be mindful of things. Yeah, Jane, for real. Yeah, very, very, very cool, dude. Yeah. So, alrighty. Thank you, patrons. Next up, we are going to talk about, or I am going to talk about, Mars conjunct Jupiter on May 29th. And, but I'm not going to talk a lot about it because I want you guys to listen to Nicole Cormier and I, and then the Mod Talk as well. So I'm just going to mention Mars and Jupiter conjunct, and then in the next episode, we'll talk more in depth. Just going to give you a teaser because I'm teaching a class about it on Saturday. And I don't mean to brag, but I'm going to go like decorate cookies at like a studio party in Hollywood where Amy Poehler is going to be. And yeah, enough said about that. Enough said. I'll get pictures. I promise. Okay, guys. I'm going to do this. Okay. So Mars ingresses into Aries only 2 degrees away from Jupiter. So technically they're conjunct the minute that Mars ingresses. But on May 29th, they are exact. On a mundane level, again, these are not a good couple of days. These are going to be like really big, volatile energy days. It could be storms. It could be political. It could be riots. It could be protesters. Now, this is global. This isn't just in the United States. I know like 89% of my listeners and viewers are from America, but please understand transits are global and they are impacting every country and every group of people on Earth. Okay. It's not just us. It's not just where you live. It's other places. So when I make a prediction and you're a little worried and nothing happens in your area, thank God, it doesn't mean something isn't happening somewhere else. So remember, these are global, and I'm not looking at every locality chart. On an individual level, this is an amazing opportunity to kind of make your own luck. Now, I have Mars and Sag, so it's kind of like having Mars and Jupiter conjunct a little bit. It's like in a minor level. This is major level coming up, but in a minor level, having Mars and Sag is kind of like having Jupiter and Mars conjunct because Jupiter rules Sagittarius. And when I was growing up, people used to say, "Oh, you're so lucky you get to do these things." The thing is while everybody else was partying or everybody else was going to sleepovers or everybody else was going to the mall on the weekend, I was either practicing, studying, or working towards a goal. So as much as what people would see when I performed classical music or jazz, or when I got to like become an exchange student, what they didn't see was all the hours and hours and hours and hours that I put in. So when I won something, it was due to skill. It was due to practice. It was due to time in. What they also didn't know was all the losses that led up to it, all the trial and error, all the times I didn't do well in a competition. And so as a teenager, it was really frustrating because people are, "Oh, you're so lucky." And I'm like, honestly, I'm not even great at games of chance. I am not the person you want to take to the craps table. I'm just not. But if it comes to skill building and practice, and so that's about making your luck. And I remember I was in a kind of an argument with a friend, because that's what you do when you're 15 or 16, right? You get into little spats. And my friend was just like kind of being bitchy about it. And I looked at them and I was like, "I'm not lucky. I make my own damn luck." And if there wasn't a phrase for Mars Jupiter conjunct, that would be it. And that's why I'm teaching the class Make Your Luck on Saturday, May 21st at 6 p.m. Pacific. If you can't be there, all of my classes get recorded. I'm not just going to talk about Aries, Mars, and Jupiter conjunct. I'm going to talk about it in general and then what it means through the signs and houses, because Mars conjuncts Jupiter about once a year. Mars moves pretty quick. It's not always, maybe every 2 years. Like I said, it's approximate, but Mars does that, and so it's something we have an opportunity to do with regularity, and it's good to know it's coming so you can get ready for it. Just like I give you heads up for shitty things so you can either avoid it or kind of mitigate things, do some risk assessment, risk management, also getting ready for the good stuff so you can really grab hold of that energy and maximize the opportunity. So with Mars in Aries conjunct Jupiter, this is like putting a magnifying lens on a part of your chart. And I just went through that with patrons in the replay. Well, you can see it in the replay if you're a patron, but the ones here live, it's going to energize the part of your chart that has Aries in it. And all of you have Aries in your chart. All of you. Okay. So this is where you're going to want to make your luck. So I'll just give some examples. I'm not going to do all 12 because I've already talked to myself hoarse about this. But like if it's the first house, you're putting yourself out there. This is the time to take that risk you've been wanting to take, to put yourself out there. If you've been on the fence about it, if you've been nervous or anxious about it, now is the time. Put yourself out there in new ways. If it's like the 6th house, this is the time. If you've been thinking about applying for a new job, do it now. If you have a job interview that day and Jupiter and Mars are in that 6th house, woo, that's good juju. If it's aligned, it's happening. And then if Mars is in the 9th house and you need to do marketing, that's a great time for that. So those are all examples. We'll get into that in more depth in the class. Right now, speaking of classes, I want to introduce to you one of my dear friends. I've known her since 2007. Nicole Cormier, a brilliant numerologist. She's who I go to, okay, when I have questions. Look, professionals work with each other here. She's come to me. We've walked each other through a whole lot of life, and she'll be teaching numerology and potentially some tarot classes as well, and tarot and numerology combined at the more advanced level. These will be electives at the mystery school. I'm not going to say anymore. I just want you to listen to her and enjoy. All right. So I'm going to put the recording of Nicole and my interview in there. So you guys will still you can fast forward the podcast if you want to. You don't have to re-listen to everything. I'm going to put Nicole's interview, Nicole Cormier, in there. She's amazing. By the way, here, I'll give you guys her link. It'll be in the podcast description, but it is coffee.com. Yeah, Mackenzie, you're gonna love her. It was a great interview, especially since we have been friends for donkey years. And when I say we've been friends, I mean it. We've walked each other through the ups and downs of life, through divorces, weddings. It's been crazy. It's been crazy. We've seen each other through a lot of shit. So she is one of the very best metaphysicians I know. We were the metaphysical kids that did not hang out in the Doreen Virtue corner of the New Age. We were in the back with all the creepy books and talking to the old folks who were the pros. That's what we did. So you'll enjoy that part of the podcast. I'm going to just do a really brief little soundbite next, because we're going to have some mod talk and the past lives on in there. So in this episode, although maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I'll do it because I already mentioned it. So I don't want to have to go edit this too much. I get lazy. It's a lot to edit a whole bunch of stuff. So, yeah. So let's see here. Because I'm going to go live on TikTok tonight as well. Crazy. She's crazy, girl. She's crazy, girl. All right. I'm going to put a big thing so I can tell. Actually, why don't I make this a secondary track and then I won't. Let's see. Nope. Tracks. Add new stereo. And here. Excellent. Okay. Then I can just insert it. I can just copy and paste it and I don't have to find the other freaking thing. There we go. All right. I'm not going to lie. That was the most fun I've had in a while. I love talking to Nicole. Again, we're really good friends and I hope you enjoyed it. So now we're going to talk a little bit about past lives. I know it makes it a long podcast, but it's so worth it because the Mons and I had a really great discussion on this topic. And I'm going to give you a little taste of that only because we're covering this in Your Soul's Intent this Saturday, May 21st. I know I'm teaching a lot of classes on Saturday, but this is all really good information to know. And because, right now, as I record this, Mars and Neptune are conjunct. everybody's a little more sensitive, and everybody's a little more psychically sensitive. And before Mars pops into Aries next week, I think this is just good information to have, because you might be having weird memories, weird dreams. You might be accessing stuff that doesn't make any sense. And we talk about this, and we'll be talking about it on Saturday in Your Soul's Intent as well. If you missed the first session, you want to take the second session, don't worry. We actually have the recording. And everything I do is recorded. So never ask, is the class going to be recording? Because it's yes, it's always recorded. So without further ado, let's do some. Oh, there was a Malcolm. He's going to shake it up because he says it's time for my talk. Oh, and that will be the end of that podcast. So I'll just record an end. But yeah, thanks for being with me, guys. It always makes it easier. I hope if you were able to join for the Mars in Aries through the houses, and again, just add Jupiter to that. It's really volatile. If you could say, like I said, I would not be out in crowded spaces if possible. It is not the day I would take a roller coaster ride. It is not the day I would be far away from home. It's just not my idea. The biggest blessing we have with this conjunction happening is that it is not square Pluto, but Venus will be. Venus will be square Pluto. So I think we're going to see some financial ramifications. I think the stock market might go a little nuts. We'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. So hold tight. And we've got each other. But anyway, thanks so much, guys. I'm going to go, and I'm going to go eat some dinner, and then I'll probably go. I'm going to edit this maybe, and then we'll, because I got to get Nicole's audio out as well. And then I'll go live maybe around 8 o'clock tonight Pacific on TikTok. So much love. Thank you. Love you guys. You can catch the replay on Patreon.